Facebook Live event. My name is Rachel and I am the registered dietitian here at Ixcela. And welcome so much to anyone who is joining for the first time. We're thrilled to have you here. Anyone who is joining and has been a part of our Facebook Live events before, thanks so much for joining. As always, please feel free to drop any comments or questions in the comments section below. We love to hear from you. So for today's video, we are going to be talking about athletes and refueling and fueling your exercise. So what does that mean exactly? What that means is that there are going to be certain nutrients that are extremely important for helping to fuel and refuel exercise. The two that are most important are going to be protein and carbohydrates. So you'll notice that those two are going to show up pretty often within our Facebook Live event today. But to do that and to kind of get started here, I'll introduce what we are going to be making. We are going to make two different kinds of smoothies. One of them is going to be a simple protein shake, and the other is going to be our antioxidant smoothie. Both of these smoothies can be found on the Ixcela recipe library. For those of you who are members, go ahead and log into your recipe library and check out those recipes. If you are not a member, you can of course go to ixcela.com/join to get your very own microbiome test kit and dive into some of those recipes within our Gut Healthy recipe library. Otherwise, look for the recipe in the comment section below in the next day or two. We'll post that there for you to utilize. So a big question that we often get is, how do you know when you should and when you shouldn't include a pre or post-workout snack? And the biggest takeaway from this entire video today is going to be this right here. And that is that you are going to completely base this off of your personal preference, as well as the type and the duration of exercise that you're doing. Not only does preference come into play on the type of foods that are going to sit well within your own gut, but also if you're someone who's exercising a lot and for a long duration, maybe you want to include something. If you're kind of just, following more of a laid-back exercise approach, which is just as great and just as exciting, maybe spending a lot of time focusing on fueling and refueling isn't going to be something that's necessary. So we're going to get started with the antioxidant smoothie. And the reason we're going to start with this one is because it's one that can be maybe added to breakfast or snack, and it's going to pack in a lot of fiber and a lot of nutrients. So to get started with this smoothie, what we're going to do is we've started in our blender cup. Of course, you can utilize a regular standard blender, but we're utilizing the NutriBullet blender cup. They're great, easy to clean. For this recipe, we've started with about 1 to 2 cups of milk, of your milk of choice. Depending on how thick or how watery you prefer your smoothie, that's going to determine how much milk you add to your cup. Also, if you notice that the contents of your smoothie are not blending, maybe your blender isn't quite strong enough to blend them, go ahead and add a few more splashes. That'll help get things moving so that your smoothie is nice and blended, hopefully minimal chunks. So for this recipe, we have our milk, and then we're going to add in some more nutrients. Like I said, this is the antioxidant smoothie, which is so exciting because it's going to pack in so many great things that are not only good for your gut, but great for digestion, disease preventative, and just overall going to make you feel really great. So the next ingredient that we're going to add is we're going to pack in 2 full cups of spinach. I'm not measuring this. I will say that we're just going to load in 2 really big handfuls of spinach. And spinach is great because it will blend really, really nicely. You can of course add things like baby kale or even regular adult kale, but that's going to be a little bit more of a fibrous vegetable, a fibrous leafy green. So consider spinach. If adding greens to your smoothies sounds a little bit funny, consider starting with spinach. The next antioxidant food that we're going to add are berries. So with our 2 cups of spinach, we're going to add about a half a cup of berries. And I like to get the mixed berries. With the mixed berries, I will say there's often seeds. So maybe something you would want to consider is going for just strawberries or just blueberries. The blackberries and raspberries are gonna add some seeds. For me, I don't mind it, but for others, that might be something that you're not as crazy about. So we're gonna go ahead and add that in. And I like to buy frozen berries for 2 reasons. Number one, they're a little bit more affordable, and you don't have to worry about them going bad in your refrigerator. And number two, frozen berries are typically picked at peak season. So that means that they might be able to be harvested at their time when they're holding the most nutrients and they're coming from a place that they naturally grow. This is just going to help not only with the nutrients, but also with the flavor too. They should pack in a little bit more flavor. The next gut-healthy ingredient that we're going to add is going to be yogurt. This is a Greek-style yogurt, and it is a full-fat variety. Do your best to check the nutrition label and to find a yogurt that is going to fit your nutrition plan. I'll give you an idea of what the Ixcela nutrition plan looks like, so that for those of you who are not an Ixcela member, you can see just how easy it is to read through your plan and get a really good understanding of how many calories as well as macronutrients your body needs. So now the last ingredient for this recipe is going to be ground flaxseed. And ground flax is going to be a great source of fiber. You might have noticed, maybe if you're someone who makes something called a flax egg, where you mix a little bit of water with flax to kind of make it a little bit more gelatinous. It's a great replacer for a regular egg if you prefer vegan baking. But you'll notice that when you soak flax in water, it's going to get a little bit jelly. And the reason for that is because flax is a great source of soluble fiber. What that means is that it's going to soak up some of the water and help keep things moving within your digestive tract. Add about a tablespoon of that. Flax is also a great source of healthy fats, so just overall a really great addition. So within this smoothie right here, we have our antioxidant smoothie. We have about 1/4 of a hand of protein. We have about 1/4 of a fist of low carbs and about a cupped hand worth of high carbs with a little bit of fat from the flaxseed. If you want to add a little bit more protein to this, we're going to show you a few different ways to do it, but we're just going to make it just like this. So I'm going to go ahead and screw on our blade. And it's going to get a little bit loud here, but hopefully this will blend up quickly for us. Okay, so right here you can see that this is blended up nicely. It's going to taste delicious, not only from the berries, but also the yogurt is going to add a really nice tartness to this smoothie, which is so great. So, like I said, this is a great standard smoothie. It's great for breakfast, maybe before a workout or even after a workout. If you're looking to add a little bit more protein, there's going to be a few different ways you can do that. The yogurt does hold protein, but we didn't add a lot of yogurt, so it only has about 9 grams of protein. So you may be thinking, okay, how do I know when I should or when I shouldn't add additional protein after a workout? The best way to know that is, of course, to refer to your nutrition plan. This will give you a really good understanding. You'll see along the side here, this is going to be your protein recommendation. That's going to give you an understanding of how much protein you need. Those calculations are based off of your height and your weight, as well as how much physical activity you participate in on a weekly basis. If you're looking to add a little bit more protein, what you're going to do is you could either add some more yogurt. Right here we absolutely love Pillar's yogurt because it's going to have 18 grams of protein, which is amazing, and minimal sugar. They also taste really good, so that's one to consider. You could add in a little bit more nut butter. Right here we have just a classic peanut butter. We also have almond butter. Or you could add in some protein powder. And this is always something that often brings up a lot of questions. How do I find the right protein powder? How do I know if I should or if I shouldn't include protein powder? And we're going to answer that for you here today. If you're someone who is exercising very strenuously and you're finding that you're having a hard time including the amount of protein that your meal plan calls for, that is when maybe adding protein powder is a really good idea. Like I said in the beginning of the video, the most important takeaway is that all of these recommendations are going to be based off of your preference, and you're really going to have to find what works best for you. The other way to kind of find out if protein is a good option for you is to ask yourself, is it within your price range? Protein can be often expensive, and finding one that fits your budget is a really good place to start as well. From there, you're going to want to look at the ingredient list. Find an ingredient list that doesn't include a lot of fillers and extra things. Really, sometimes just going with a simple, unflavored protein powder is a good idea, and then adding the flavor and sweetness with fruit, maybe some cocoa powder, cinnamon, things like that, versus having a lot of added artificial sweeteners, which might be damaging and harmful to your gut bacteria. So for this smoothie, we're going to go ahead and add in our protein powder, because today we worked out a little bit extra hard this morning, so we're deciding that this is a good place to add in a protein shake. I'm going to go ahead and give this a blend. There we go. Okay, and that one is all set. The other option that we're going to show you today is just going to be a super, very simple protein shake. And the reason I'm going to show this one is because it's going to kind of give you our two foundational nutrients, I guess you could say. So it's going to give you protein, and it's going to give you that extra serving of vegetables, which is sometimes hard to squeeze in. But a quick note to make is that it's always good to have a to-go. So we're going to take our Ixcela shaker here and add our protein shake to this, so that we can take it to go. You could even throw this into your refrigerator and utilize it later in the day. Maybe you have a workout planned, or you know that you're going to be looking for something in between meals. This is a really great way to kind of round out your meal plan and your nutrient recommendations as needed. It's just a good one to have on hand. All right, so this recipe right here is going to be a little bit lower in carbohydrates and higher in protein. So the two nutrients that are extremely important for exercise are going to be carbohydrates and protein. And that's on the short term. Healthy fats are also extremely important. They're going to be very nutrient dense, so they're going to be a great one to include when maybe you're going to be exercising for a longer duration, or you only have time to have a meal 3 to 4 hours before your exercise. Consider including fats. We will also say that including fat closer to exercise can sometimes cause some GI distress. So feel it out if you start to notice that you are feeling uncomfortable, or that maybe something like peanut butter doesn't sit well with you with your exercise. Consider excluding that ingredient and sticking with more of a simple carbohydrate. So simple carbohydrates to consider would be something like fruit is a really great one. Fruit is going to contain fiber, and similar to fat, it might digest a little bit slower. So maybe consider going for something like a cereal, or just half of a nutrition bar. One that includes really natural ingredients is also a good idea. Some of the Gatorade and juices and different electrolyte drinks out there, check the nutrition label and decide from there if it's a real necessity and you're going to be exercising for longer than an hour. Consider including it. If you're just doing something short and you know that you're going to have a meal almost immediately after your exercise, don't stress, don't worry too much about trying to include some of those supplemental, either if it's a protein shake or a nutrition bar, or any electrolyte drink like that. It's really not necessary. Go for the food, the whole food options first, and they will definitely be best received by the body. So for this protein shake, if you want to include a shake, you have a few hours until your next meal and you're trying to include a shake, but you don't want to overdo it with your carbohydrates, this is my go-to protein shake. It's going to hit the spot post-workout and give you some time to find what your next meal is going to be. So really simple recipe. Once again, we're going to load up with our leafy greens. You'll find that that's a trend within the Ixcela recipes. So we're going to add our 2 cups of leafy greens. And then really simple, we're just going to add protein powder. The other thing to consider too, if you're noticing that maybe your protein powder serving is a little bit too much or you don't need the full serving, add half a scoop, that's okay. Or if you're finding that you need to add a little bit of extra bulk to your breakfast, consider adding a scoop and a half. Whatever you have to do to meet those nutrition goals is really okay, so get creative. And this is it, it's really a basic recipe. You'll be able to supplement with some extra protein as well as getting your greens. We're gonna go ahead and give this a blend. I love this one because it turns nice and green, and any green foods are a good thing in my opinion. There you go. Now, if you wanted to add carbohydrates to this meal or to this shake, you definitely could with things like fruit. Another option would be something that kind of sweetens it up, which is sort of surprising. Something you could add would be oats, or even additional yogurt like we talked about earlier. Really, that's another beauty of smoothies, is that you can kind of add and subtract as needed. Get creative. We also have the option of, you could add in some coconut, or over here we have some chia seeds, which are going to be another great source of healthy fats as well. So have some fun with it, get creative, see what you have in your freezer as far as fruit goes, and then always add in those leafy greens and build from there. If you are interested in having access to the Gut Healthy Recipe Library, go to Ixcela.com. Remember, your Ixcela report is not only going to come with personalized nutrition recommendations to help with helping you feel better, it's also going to include nutrition and fitness recommendations for you. So thanks so much for tuning in today, and go ahead and drop some questions in the comment section below.